How many times have you gone to sleep with the feeling that you could have done more? Maybe you even started the day with good intentions, but the hours flew by between notifications, appointments, and distractions, and when you realized, that day became just another one in the "I'll see you later" line. The truth is hard, but it needs to be said: each lost day is a door that closes, a scenario that will not be repeated, a chance that does not return. We live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, but time does not make agreements or offer refunds. You can't recover a wasted Monday or relive a poorly spent morning. But it can, yes, do it differently today. In this content, you will discover how to regain control of your routine, cut the excesses that slow you down, and turn ordinary days into pillars for an extraordinary life. If you're tired of promising yourself that Monday you'll start and you're ready for real change, take a deep breath. This reading was made for you. Each line that follows is an invitation to awaken, take action, and rebuild your time with intention. And the first choice starts now. Waking up is a gift that many treat as routine. But think about it: the simple fact of opening your eyes today already puts you at an advantage over those who didn't have this chance. Each new day is a blank page, ready to be written with choices, attitudes, and purpose. The problem is that, in a hurry, most forget to value this space. The day has barely begun and is already swallowed up by automatic appointments. Imagine if you only had 30 days to live. How would you use each of them? This thought, while uncomfortable, is powerful. It takes you out of automatic mode and invites you to live with more intention. A calm breakfast, a call to someone important, that shelved project. Everything gains another weight when you understand the value of time. Today is not just one more, it is unique. It is not about doing 1,000 things, but about doing well what really matters. It is possible to turn an ordinary day into something memorable with small choices: to be kind to someone, to learn something new, to take a step towards a dream. When you start to see today as irreplaceable, everything changes, even the way you breathe when you get out of bed. And that's when we start living with purpose. You can lose money and win again. You can lose objects and replace them. But time? This one doesn't come back, doesn't wait, doesn't take breaks. It's the most valuable resource you have and, ironically, the one we waste the most. When you say "I don't have time," you're actually saying that's not a priority right now. And that's okay, as long as that choice is conscious. Have you ever stopped to think about where your hours are going? Take the test. Write down, for a single day, everything you do. You will be surprised at how much you give your time to things that do not move you in any direction. The danger is not only in the loss of time, but in the false feeling of productivity. Sometimes we're just too busy with what doesn't matter. Treating time as a finite good is the first step to using it wisely. When you understand that you can't accumulate hours, you start to respect them more. A morning well spent is worth more than a lost week. So instead of waiting for the ideal time, ask yourself, what can I do with what I have now? This is a key that opens doors that you didn't even imagine. The biggest trap that prevents us from acting today is the belief that tomorrow has time. It is a subtle, comfortable, but dangerous illusion. Tomorrow always seems available until it doesn't come. How many ideas, dreams, and decisions are sitting there, waiting for an after that may never come? The time you think you have is exactly what is being wasted. This mindset creates a false sense of security. Then I'll solve it, when I have more time, next week I'll start taking care of my health. But life happens in the now, not in the ideal calendar you've set up in your head. The only guarantee we have is this moment. And the longer you postpone, the farther you are from what you could be building. Action must happen before perfection. Waiting for an ideal scenario is the same as waiting for a bus that is not on the route. Take a step today, even if it's small. Call, write, get started. Tomorrow is a possibility, not a promise. And those who act today, plant seeds that can bloom when tomorrow finally arrives. Don't underestimate the power of a simple decision made with intention. You don't have to revolutionize your life all at once. All it takes is one choice a day, made consciously, to initiate real change. The decision to get up when the alarm clock rings, to choose a fruit instead of a candy, to study for 20 minutes instead of scrolling the screen. These are small gestures that add up to great results over time. It's easy to think that great achievements come from epic moments. But, in practice, they are built by small daily victories. A disciplined person is not the most talented, he is the one who decides, every day, to do what needs to be done even when he doesn't feel like it. When you understand this, every morning becomes an opportunity to turn the key, a chance to be your own change. So, what will be your decision today? Maybe it's writing that email, starting that class, or just saying no to something that always pulls you back. The truth is that the future does not depend on big plans, but on small actions repeated with consistency. And it all starts with a single decision not to let today go unnoticed. Have you ever had the feeling of reaching the end of the day and not remembering exactly what you did? This is a clear sign that you are living on autopilot. Wake up, work, eat, sleep. Repeats. And the most dangerous thing about all this is that, while the routine repeats itself, life slips through the fingers. Without intention, the days lose color, purpose, and direction. It's not that routine is bad, it can be a powerful ally when used consciously. The problem is when it turns into a silent prison. Always doing the same things, in the same way, without reflecting, leads to stagnation. It's like driving for hours on a highway without noticing the way you're moving, but you're not going anywhere. Putting intention into the routine is like turning on the light in a dark room. Start with simple questions. Why am I doing this? Does it bring me closer or further away from what I want? Changing I need to do it for I choose to do it already changes everything. After all, when you go back to being the author of your own agenda, even the simplest tasks take on new meaning. There is a big difference between being alive and actually living. A lot of people breathe, work, fulfill commitments. But inside it is asleep. Just existing. No sparkle in the eye, no direction, just surviving the week. To truly live requires presence, choice, and a minimum of daring not to accept a life without flavor. To live is to allow yourself to feel. It's laughing out loud on an ordinary day, getting emotional with a good conversation, challenging yourself in something new. It's getting out of the routine just out of curiosity. Have you noticed how even time passes differently when we are doing something we love? This is living. The opposite is counting the days, waiting for the weekend as if life only happened on 2 days a week. So stop and think, when was the last time you did something that made you feel alive? The answer to this can show you where purpose is lacking. It's not about changing everything at once, but about bringing more life into what you already do. The difference is in how you choose to face each moment. Because existing is automatic. Live. It is a decision. Have you ever had the feeling that the day flew by and, even so, almost nothing was done? This is often the fault of so-called time thieves, those activities that are disguised as urgency or rest, but ultimately only drain your energy and focus. Social networks, unnecessary notifications, purposeless meetings. Everyone competes for his attention and gradually steals his days. The first step is to identify. Grab a notebook or notepad on your phone and write down everything you do throughout the day for a week. It may seem like an exaggeration, but this simple exercise reveals where your time is really going. You will realize that, many times, the problem is not the lack of time, it is the poor management of it. And with clarity, comes the possibility of change. Once you've identified it, it's time to fight. Use app blockers, silence notifications, set specific times for repetitive tasks. And most importantly, learn to say no. Every time you say yes to something irrelevant, you're saying no to what really matters. Time is yours, but if you don't protect it, someone else will use it for you. Social networks were created to connect people, but they ended up disconnecting us from ourselves. Without realizing it, we open the cell phone just for 5 minutes and, when we see it, there are 40 minutes scrolling the screen. The problem is not in using technology, but in being used by it. That every thoughtless click is a little bit of time that could be invested in something that makes you grow. That have you ever noticed how the exaggerated use of networks affects your productivity, your mood, and even your sleep? That silent comparison, the feeling of always being behind the lives of others, and the anxiety that comes when you are not online. It's no exaggeration to say that digital distractions are among the biggest saboteurs of our focus and purpose today. The secret is not to exclude everything, but to create smart limits. Try leaving your phone out of your bedroom at night, using focus apps like Forest or Freedom, or setting fixed times to check your networks. The time you gain can be used to read, create, really rest, or simply live in the present. And believe me, the world keeps turning even when you're offline. Have you ever finished a day full of activities, but with the feeling that nothing really important has been done? This happens when we occupy our time with useless tasks disguised as productivity. Answering emails without urgency, reorganizing files 1,000 times, making lists that will never be used. All of this gives the false impression that we are moving forward, when in fact we are only distracting ourselves from the essentials. Being productive isn't about being busy all the time, it's about doing what really moves you forward. And for that, it is necessary to learn to differentiate activity from progress. Sometimes, an hour of real focus is worth more than a full day chasing random tasks. Ask yourself often, does this bring me closer to my goal, or is it just keeping me busy? Practice the habit of reviewing your weekly schedule. Cut out what's unnecessary, simplify what's too complex, and prioritize what brings real results. Use the 80-20 technique. 20 of your actions bring 80 of your results. Focus on that 20. And remember, the busier you are with what doesn't matter, the less time you have left for what really transforms your life. Procrastinating is like taking out a loan with very high interest rates. You get immediate relief, but pay dearly later. Postponing what needs to be done seems harmless, until it becomes a habit. And the problem isn't just the backlog of tasks, it's the emotional weight that comes with it. That everything you leave for later becomes a mental pendency, sucking your energy even when you're not doing anything. Procrastination is not pure laziness. Often, it is fear in disguise. Fear of making mistakes, of not being good enough, of getting frustrated. The mind creates logical excuses to escape the discomfort. You'll do it later, more calmly, I'm not ready yet. And so, time passes. Projects get stuck. Dreams grow cold. Until one day, the after will never come. The way out: start small. Use the 5-minute technique. Commit to doing a task for just 5 minutes. Often, this first step is enough to break the inertia. Create a distraction-free environment. Reward yourself for completing what needs to be done. And remember, done is better than perfect. Because procrastination is like quicksand. The longer you wait, the harder it gets to get out. For a long time, multitasking was seen as a superpower. But the truth is, trying to do everything at once doesn't make you more efficient, it makes you more scattered. The human brain is not designed to perform several complex tasks at the same time. What it does, in fact, is quickly switch between them, which generates mental fatigue and increases the chances of error. Have you ever noticed how much longer it takes you to complete something when you're answering messages, listening to music, opening multiple tabs, and trying to focus at the same time? This happens because your attention is fragmented. Multitasking gives you a false sense of productivity, but at the end of the day, you find yourself tired and feeling like nothing has been done right. Be strategic. Practice total focus on a single activity at a time. Use blocks of time like the Pomodoro technique, eliminate interruptions, and really immerse yourself in what you're doing. When you learn to do fewer things with more presence, the results appear with more quality and less stress. Efficiency is not doing everything, it is doing the essentials, done well. Most people blame their cell phones, social media, and the noises around them for their lack of focus. And yes, these external distractions are real. But what almost no one talks about is the distractions within: repetitive thoughts, constant worries, mental dialogues that steal your attention even in quiet environments. Often, the biggest distraction is within your own mind. You know that moment when you sit down to do something important, but suddenly find yourself thinking about the bill you have to pay, the unresolved conversation, or what you're going to have for dinner. That's the internal distraction sabotaging your productivity. And to overcome it, it is not enough to turn off notifications, it is necessary to train the mind. Simple breathing techniques, guided meditation, or writing down worries before starting work can go a long way. External distractions, on the other hand, require practical measures. Let people around you know when you're in a moment of focus. Use headphones with white noise. Close unnecessary flaps. The key is to create an environment, internal and external, conducive to concentration. Because focus is not luck, it is a state constructed, maintained, and protected with intention. Saying yes all the time sounds gentle, but it's often self-sabotage in disguise. When you accept invitations, tasks, and commitments that have nothing to do with your goals, you're giving up your time and focus. And the most dangerous thing is that this happens in the name of good manners, fear of disappointing, or simply not wanting to appear selfish. But here's a secret: every yes you give to something with no real value is a disguised no to what really matters. Saying no is not rude, it is wisdom. It's about protecting your space, your schedule, and your energy. And when you start doing that, you discover that the world doesn't collapse, and that, in fact, people respect more those who have clarity of purpose. Start small. When you receive an invitation or request, take a breath and ask yourself, does this align with what I want to build? If the answer is no, it's okay to kindly decline. A firm no can save you from weeks of frustration. Remember, your agenda is your territory. And if you don't protect it, it will be taken over by other people's priorities. The comfort zone has a beautiful name, but a treacherous effect. It is that place where everything seems peaceful, but nothing evolves. You wake up, fulfill your minimum obligations, avoid risks, and that's it. Another day passed. It seems harmless, but complacency is one of the biggest culprits for average lives, shelved dreams, and talents that never flourish. The danger of complacency lies precisely in the absence of pain. You're not unhappy, but you're not fulfilled either. And this comfortable neutrality paralyzes. It's like being on a warm lake, not cold enough to get you out, not hot enough to be worth staying. Growth requires discomfort. It requires movement. It requires getting out of what is familiar to discover what is possible. Breaking out of the comfort zone starts with small challenges. Waking up a little earlier, saying yes to something new, accepting a project that scares you a little. When you move, the world expands. And what once seemed daring becomes a new routine. Because, in the end, you either choose the discomfort of growing up, or he will live eternally in the comfort of stagnation. We don't always realize when we're wasting a day, because waste doesn't scream, it whispers. Point one more scroll here, a postponed task there, a passive choice there. And before we know it, a week has passed. And the most dangerous thing is that this becomes a cycle. The more days you waste, the more normal it becomes. It is self-indulgence disguised as routine. It's like living in a repetition mode. Monday feels like Wednesday, Friday feels like Tuesday. The days go by without leaving marks, without advances, without meaningful memories. And with that, energy, motivation and clarity of purpose also go away. Time keeps passing, but life doesn't move forward. Because without intentional action, any day becomes just another one. Getting out of this cycle starts with awareness. Observe, question, adjust. What did you do yesterday that brings you closer to the life you want? And today, what can be different? The cycle only changes when you change. Each day has a unique value, and when you start to treat it as such, the other cycles begin to turn. That of transformation, of discipline, of evolution. Changing your life doesn't start with a big plan, it starts with a mirror. Self-awareness is having the courage to look honestly at yourself to realize what's working, what's sabotaging you, and what needs to change. Without this watchful eye, you live on automatic, stuck in habits you don't even realize you have. And what is not recognized cannot be transformed. Habits are like mental rails. You repeat them so much that they become invisible. But they are the ones who define your destiny. A habit of getting up and looking at your phone before getting out of bed may seem small, but the accumulation of small habits shapes your discipline, your focus, and even your mood. And the good news is that with intention, you can reprogram these patterns. Take a moment of the week to review your routine. What drove you? What drained you? What was done by choice and what was done by inertia? Small adjustments in daily habits generate gigantic changes over time. As James Clear would say in Atomic Habits, you don't have to change everything at once, just adjust one per day. And everything changes over time. If you don't control your schedule, someone else will control it for you, and without asking permission. Unnecessary meetings, random favors, urgencies from others. All of this invades your time when you don't set limits. And the worst, when you live putting out other people's fires. There is little or no energy left to build what really matters to you. Taking control of one's agenda is not selfishness, it is responsibility for one's purpose. Start by creating blocks of time for your priorities. Schedule moments of focus as if they were unavoidable commitments. And learn to say no politely, but firmly. What goes into your agenda should serve what you want to build, not just fill space. Remember, a full schedule is not a sign of productivity, but of occupation. Always ask yourself, does this really need to be done? Does it need to be done by me? Does it need to be done now? When you start protecting your time with intention, you realize that the day has enough room for what really matters. It just takes courage to choose and constancy to maintain. Waiting for the perfect moment is the ideal plan. Never to begin. Ideal conditions are a comfortable fantasy that justifies inertia. When I have more time, when I am more prepared, when everything is calm. But the truth is that life will never stop to give you the perfect scenario, and those who wait too long end up being left behind. Taking action even without being 100% ready is a valuable skill you learn on the way. Adjust as you walk, grow as you go. Many of the big projects and changes started with improvisation, courage, and a dose of faith. If you take the first step with what you have, what is missing appears halfway. Movement brings clarity, energy, and opportunities. Start with what's in your hands today. A draft, a conversation, a simple plan. Perfection paralyzes, action liberates. And remember, those who act in imperfect scenarios develop resilience, creativity, and strength. Don't wait for the storm to pass to build. Start now. Even if it rains, the time to act will never be tomorrow. It's always today. Obstacles aren't the end of the road, often they're the beginning of something bigger. But for that, you need to change the lens with which you see them. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, try, what is this trying to teach me? Every challenge carries an invitation to evolution. But only those who look with courage can perceive the hidden present within the problem. Think about how many times something seemingly negative has pushed you in a better direction. A layoff that led to a new project, a breakup that made room for personal growth, a difficulty that forced you to reinvent yourself. Obstacles are tests and also tools. They mold character, strengthen discipline, and reveal how far you are willing to advance. The key is in the interpretation. Look at each difficulty as a chance to develop a skill, deepen your vision, or redirect your path. The biggest leaps are usually born from the most uncomfortable moments. So the next time something crashes, don't back down right away. Take a deep breath, observe, learn. Sometimes the obstacle is just a bridge in disguise. Gratitude doesn't change what you have, but it completely changes how you see what you have. And that changes everything. When you train your mind to see what's going right, even on difficult days, you begin to experience a lightness that doesn't depend on the circumstances. Gratitude is inner strength. It's emotional clarity. It is a powerful antidote to complaining and stagnation. Practicing gratitude isn't about pretending that everything is okay. It's about choosing to focus on what's valuable, even if it's small. It is to be grateful for the health you have, for the resources available, for the people who support you, for the chances you have already received. Keeping a gratitude notebook, where you write down 3 good things a day, may seem simple, but it transforms your perspective in a few days. Gratitude also makes you more attentive. By recognizing the value of what you already have, you begin to take better care of time, relationships, and opportunities. And this subtle change in the look has a ripple effect throughout your routine. After all, when you value the present, you live with more intention and create a fertile space for transformation to happen. Eliminating distractions isn't just a matter of discipline, it's an act of protection. Your time, energy, and focus are too valuable resources to waste on noise. And today's distractions are subtle: a notification, an open tab, an irrelevant conversation. They all compete for your attention, and if you're not attentive, they win. Actively eliminating these distractions starts with small, practical actions. Turn off unnecessary notifications, use silent modes, create fixed times to access social networks, and organize your workspace. But also go further: notice which people, habits, or thoughts are diverting your focus from important goals. Sometimes the distraction isn't on your phone, it's inside you. This cleansing requires intention. You need to want to create a fertile environment for progress. And the more you care for this environment, the more productive and at peace you feel. Remember, every time you eliminate a distraction, you make room for concentration, for action, and for real growth. And those who focus, advance. Expecting great achievements to feel fulfilled is a common and dangerous mistake. Because real life is made up of small daily advances, and ignoring those victories undermines your motivation. Finishing a task, meeting the goal of the day, saying no to a distraction, staying focused for an hour. All of this counts. Every step matters. And it deserves to be recognized. Celebrating these small victories is more than a way to motivate yourself, it's a way to train your mind to see progress. And where there is progress, there is hope. When you recognize your efforts, no matter how small they may seem, you create a healthier relationship with the process. This strengthens your constancy and reduces that anxiety of wanting everything at once. Make it a habit to list 3 things you did well at the end of the day. It may seem simple, but over time, this practice changes your mental pattern. You stop focusing on what is missing and start valuing what you are already building. And that, in itself, is already a victory. Because those who learn to celebrate themselves on the way find the strength to continue to the destination. Living on automatic is easy, just don't think. But living with intention requires presence, choice, and responsibility. When you start the day knowing the reason for each action, everything makes sense. Brushing your teeth, working, eating, studying. All of this is no longer just a task and becomes part of a larger construction. Intention is what transforms routine into mission. Having a clear purpose does not mean having all the answers, but rather asking better questions. What do I want to feel at the end of the day? How do I want to contribute today? Does this choice bring me closer or further away from the life I want to live? When you live guided by these questions, even the unforeseen become opportunities to reaffirm your path. Start the day with a moment of pause. It can be a coffee with silence, an inspiring phrase, a short prayer, or even a goal written on paper. The important thing is to align your mind before diving into the rhythm of the world. Because days with intention don't happen by chance. They are created, one conscious thought at a time. The way you start the day influences everything that comes after. Waking up running, looking at notifications, or answering messages right away is like entering a battlefield without armor. You start by reacting to the world, rather than taking charge of your own journey. And this affects their productivity, their mood, and even their self-esteem. Starting the day with clarity and focus doesn't require hours of preparation. All it takes is 10 minutes. Use this time to review your goals, organize your priorities, and reconnect with your purpose. Write down 3 things you want to accomplish, think about the why of each one, and define what your main focus will be. This prevents you from getting lost in the urgencies of others. Create a morning ritual that works for you. It can be a coffee in silence, a short walk, an inspirational read, or a prayer. The important thing is that this moment is yours, a space to align mind and heart. Because when the day starts with direction, everything flows better. And life, little by little, is organized around its clarity. Many people wait for a great moment that changes everything. But the truth is, life doesn't change all at once. It's shaped by the decisions you make every day. It is the sum of small habits, conscious choices, consistent actions. Each day well lived is a brick placed in the edifice of your existence. And, little by little, this turns into a solid work. Don't underestimate the power of a single day. A training session done, an important conversation, a remarkable reading, a no said with courage. All of this seems small in isolation, but when added together, it builds a trajectory of purpose. Constancy, and not impulse, is what differentiates those who achieve from those who only dream. And living well today is the best investment you can make in your future. So the question is not where do I want to be in 5 years? But rather how can I live this day in a way that takes me there, that this change in perspective takes the weight off the future and returns power to the present. Because in the end, what we call life is just the collection of our days. And you decide, one by one, how you want to write them. Now that you have gone through each of these points, take a deep breath and think, how has your relationship with time been? How many days have you been letting it go, waiting for perfect conditions? Distracted by small urgencies, or simply repeating patterns unintentionally? Perhaps you have realized that a lot can and should change. But this change does not start tomorrow. It starts today. The time you have is too precious to waste on what you don't build. So what choices can you make today to honor this new level of consciousness? Which habit can be adjusted? Which postponed decision finally needs to get off the ground? Your future is being formed now, one thought, one attitude, one action at a time. If this content has awakened you, provoked you, or inspired you, I invite you to continue on this journey with me. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and be there for next steps. Here, each video is a new chance to align mind, habits, and purpose. And remember, time passes. But you can decide what he will leave in you.